Cabrillo Unified School District Governing Board meeting for November 14, 2024. Roll call, Rosie.
Thank you, Kim. We ask the audience. Kimberly.
Here.
Carmen is not here yet. Lisette not here yet. Mary Beth. Sophia.
Here.
Jamie. And Martin. We have quorum.
Thank you. Jamie, would you please lead us in the pledge? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 3+2.
Thank you. For our non-agenda item public comments, we have quite a few tonight. I'd like to invite up David Ron.
Hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm David Ron. I'm the new chairperson of the El Granada Elementary School Site Council. I'm here with some of our other members here, and I want to read a letter that we submitted to the board earlier today about the parking lot lights. Dear Governing Board, we would like to revisit the recommendations to remove the proposed 5 25-foot tall light poles from the El Granada School parking lot, voted on by the board at the October 10th, 2024 board meeting. We believe that this recommendation does not account for the safety of the El Granada School community. We ask you to continue the discussion about the proposed lighting plans. It is very important to us to ensure the safety of our school children and staff while honoring the requests of our immediate neighbors and the CUSD community. Balancing these needs is not a simple problem, but we are confident it's solvable. The current lighting plan does not achieve these goals. We ask the governing board to formally give the following guidance to the construction manager and the design team in this order of priority. Number 1, provide adequate lighting within the parking lot so that users can access their cars safely without the use of additional personal light sources. This means there must be lights within the parking lot. Number 2, allow user-friendly controls to allow for the lights to be turned off during times when no school personnel or official events are occurring on campus. Number 3, minimize the brightness, height, and color of the lights to decrease the exposure to our immediate neighbors, while also attempting to honor the CUSD's goals of reducing light pollution. Number 4, create a striping plan which creates the maximum number of parking stalls. Number 5, revisit the ADA exiting path and consider a redesign which follows the existing preferred paths of travel adjacent to the dolphin statue or at the location of the current staircase. We understand that these parameters may be conflicting, but we hope that the architect and lighting designer can show flexibility and creativity to achieve these goals. If needed, we ask the governing board to request a peer review of the project plans. Some potential changes could be, number 1, additional parking lot islands with curb lighting or light bollards. Number 2, adding light bollards to the existing planted areas. Number 3, reducing the number of tall poles by creating a mix of poles, bollards, and lights on the existing adjacent school building. Let's work together to make the parking lot a safe place for all students, parents, and school staff. Thank you. The El Granada Elementary School Site Council.
Laurel Bigelow. Thank you. I have another 5 comments related. First is Haley Peterson, El Granada parent. I urge the board to reopen the discussion regarding parking lot lighting at El Granada Elementary. This is a public safety issue that needs to be addressed in a way that considers the safety of our students as they leave after-school care in the dark. Releasing the lighting designer of any liability would allow flexibility in the design that would satisfy neighbors' concerns and still provide a safer parking lot than we currently have. Any lighting is better and safer than no lighting at all. Thank you. Francis Cook. The concerns of neighbors about light pollution from the proposed new lighting at El Granada have been well stated and are important, as are concerns for the safety of staff, students, and families when leaving the school and after-school facility after dark. The parking lot is extremely dark in its current state and in need of improvement, and the decision to remove the proposed parking lot lighting should require input from affected parties. Please reopen the El Granada Elementary parking lot discussion so that a compromise can be found with input from staff and families at the school. Nicole Lopez. Removing the lighting from the parking lot, remove the care for safety of our students, staff, and families. Please reopen the El Granada Elementary parking lot discussion with care for neighbors and the community. There are many students, parents, and staff who have to navigate the parking lot at night in the dark and shouldn't have to do so in pitch black. Melissa Majewski, sorry if I missed the name. I would like to comment regarding the decision to remove lights from the construction scope at El Granada Elementary. As a parent with a child in aftercare, it is dark when we walk through the parking lot during the winter. I am concerned for the safety of my child and the other children exiting the school premises after sunset. I have heard that there's a concern with release of liability for the contractor to find a solution with less invasive lighting. CUSD needs to compare this risk to the continued safety risk and liability of the decision to accept having no lights in the parking lot. Please consider reopening this decision to find a solution that increases safety while also minimizing community impact. I would like to comment, and then Andy Majewski. I would like to comment regarding the decision to remove lights from the El Granada parking lot area for the construction scope. Many working families have children in before and after care at El Granada. During fall and winter, it's dark when we walk through the parking lot. I'm concerned for the safety of all children, parents, and teachers walking through the parking lot after sunset. Any lights in the parking lot are better than none in terms of reducing risk, and releasing the contractor from liability for changing the specification is no worse from a risk management perspective than doing nothing at all. This is clearly a situation where the saying, "Don't let perfection get in the way of good enough," applies. Next are our employee organization reports. CUTA.
Good evening. It's been an interesting month, and a lot of changes are coming. The parcel tax passed, as well as the bond measure, and that's incredible news for this school district. And with those outcomes, of course, come new challenges. Recently, Half Moon Bay High School hosted 8th graders on a shadow day. And I met with a couple of those students as they went from class to class. And I stopped to ask them about their experience. One of the lasting memories of their day, according to 2 of them, was when staff and teachers interacted with them. But rather than walk away with the thought of how incredibly positive their experience was, these students told me about how these staffers and these teachers, who were parents of no doubt future Half Moon Bay High students, explained to them that what they saw around campus was misleading. Where they saw outdated classrooms, broken rain gutters, a lack of electrical outlets, and buildings in desperate need of fresh paint, teachers and staff told them to ignore those conditions. They were told to focus on what happens inside the classroom. Those 2 students I spoke with both spoke in glowing terms about what they saw that day. They learned that our students learned. They learned that our students are engaged by their teachers. They learned that with limited resources, Teachers are incredibly proficient at delivering content and helping those students understand and apply that content to problem solving. We as teachers are very enthused about money coming into the district. Let's work together to improve facilities and put money where it is so desperately needed into the student experience. Thank you.
Thank you. CSEA.
Good evening. I want to express my gratitude and pride as our community has once again shown its dedication to the future of our schools, our students, and our CUSD family. I want to take a moment to thank every person that helped pass the parcel tax and bond initiatives. Thank you for investing in our district's future. The victory is more than just a number or a line item. For our district, it represents the ability to keep our schools running. We know that our recent CSEA negotiations included a 2% raise that depended on the passage of this measure. Thanks to everyone who voted yes and advocated for this initiative. This raise will now become a reality, recognizing the hard work and dedication of our union members. But the benefits go beyond our CSEA members. This success means a bit more stability and support for our district as a whole. It provides CUSD with a crucial boost to our budget and will help fund staff that serve our students and our community. It's a win for everyone. This achievement reminds us that we can all come together and do powerful things. Now, as we look into the future, I want to share an important update. In early December, we'll be holding our executive board elections. After careful consideration, I have decided to not run for re-election as president. It has been a tremendous honor to serve in this role, and I'm so grateful for the support and dedication that everyone has shown me. Stay tuned, and we will announce our new executive board at the next board meeting, and I'm confident that they will continue to lead with passion and purpose. Thank you once again for your support, your commitment to CUSD, and it's been a privilege to serve as CSEA president. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. And I want to concur in thanking the public for supporting both the bond measure and the parcel tax. That's a definite win for CUSD. I want to also welcome Dr. Jeff Harding, our interim superintendent. Amber Lee Alba is on approved leave right now, and in her absence, we're delighted that we have someone that can keep everything stable and keep business running effectively and support our staff and our students and all of our school sites. So thank you to Dr. Jeff Harding joining us. Second, just clarification, I really do appreciate all of the parent comments tonight regarding revisiting the lights at El Granada. The intent was never to make it all dark, it was balancing the 55 bollards that are around the perimeter plus the 5 light poles. So I'm sure that that is something that, with understanding now we've got comments from the community, comments from the school teachers and parents, I leave it to Dr. Harding to continue working on this issue. And finally, school funding. Well, the parcel tax did pass. We still are underfunded compared to the state average. We do not have the spending power of Visalia, we don't have the spending power of Fresno, and we don't have the efficiencies in a small district. So please know that I'm still committed to carrying this conversation forward, and Carmen and I met with 3 other districts at the county office this past month, and it was eye-opening for a number of people that resulted in other introductions and requests to speak. And so I'm also sharing the slide deck with Mike O'Neill, who's been elected to represent Area 5. as a county board member for the County Office of Education. That's Mike O'Neill. He's been a past mayor of Pacifica. He served on the school board there, and he appreciates that alliances are going to be very helpful. And I look forward to working with our unions as well, because I think there's going to be power in numbers across districts. So that's what I know for this month.
All right, I'd also like to welcome Dr. Harding to CUSD as our interim superintendent while Amberly Alva is on medical leave. Dr. Harding comes to us with an impressive resume of proven district leadership and commitment to students, which we really appreciate. We're super fortunate to have you here, Dr. Harding, with us doing a lot of things up in the air right now, particularly with funding stuff that and finance stuff that Jennifer and the team are working on. So I'm really glad that you're here with us to help us during this time. And simultaneously, I'd like to just make sure we wish Amber a full and speedy recovery so she can be back as soon as possible. I also would like to make sure that as a community, we're respectful of her privacy during that time. With any medical leave, it's always difficult for everyone and can cause some anxiety. And I just want to make sure that we're respectful, as we would want everyone to be of our own situations as well. So thank you to voters for passing the bond and the parcel tax. Those are both big wins for us. As I think was Holly or maybe Kim mentioned, having the increased amount on the parcel tax is certainly going to be welcome, but also the importance of having that duration of time extended for the parcel tax, so Jennifer wouldn't have to come back to the board in the spring, which showing the drop off of minus $1.7 million in the out year is critically important. So thank you to voters for support on both of those fronts. And that's all from me. Actually, I want to mention too today, we had a meeting with the CSBA delegation from Santa Clara, San Francisco, and San Mateo counties with Senator Cortese, who's on a number of California Senate committees, including education budget, and it's also on his radar to, and he has some ideas around how to potentially mitigate the funding issues that we have in the state in terms of the inequities, but the reality of what's expected to come out of DC is causing stress in Sacramento, and so I think it's important, but also challenging times in terms of potential education funding challenges from the feds that the state is going to also look to try to cover. So, I think we ought to wish our state some luck in navigating that, particularly for education, the years to come.
Thank you. Mary Beth?
In addition to what has been said, I just wanted to share with people a thought I was having today about what happened last night at the Hatch reclassification ceremony. If you don't know what the reclassification ceremony is, it's when kids that are Spanish speaking pass a hard exam to switch them over so that they're English proficient. So it's a big achievement for them. And they gave out the awards to the kids, which is normal at that. But then they had the parents, a few parents they had awards for, because our adult school was doing classes. So after the adults would drop off the kids, the parents could go take an English class for an hour and a half or something on certain days of the week. And so there were some women there, some moms that had gotten an award for finishing that, and their kids got up. It was a tearjerker. The kids got up and were talking about how proud they were of their parents for passing, trying to get better at English is basically what they were saying. So it was pretty cute, but it made me think, how unique we are, that we're not, a lot of districts are only high schools or only elementary schools, that we're a unified district. But beyond that, we also have preschool and an adult school. So to see that kind of come together last night really made me feel, how special we are here and how we can have these relationships across schools, across grade spans, from little kids, pre-K, all the way up to the adults dropping those kids off. So it really was kind of meaningful, and it was part of this, this opportunity we have and are doing about coming together and how unique we are and how we can make this a real special place. So I just wanted to share that because it kind of hit me and I kind of kept thinking about it today and I thought, oh, I'll just share that tonight. So there you go.
Thank you. Carmen?
I just wanted to echo my colleagues' comments and thank the community for passing our bond and parcel tax. Thank you very much.
Muy buenas noches a todos. Gracias por estar aquí, ya que se está oscureciendo más temprano y está haciendo más frío. Me imagino que es un poco más difícil para estar aquí afuera, pero gracias a todos los que están aquí, los que nos están viendo y los que necesitan traducción, por favor, no tengan pena, pregunten y más que nada, involúcrense y infórmense. Es tan importante porque a veces el no entender es parte de no estar informado, involucrado y todo lo que pasa nos afecta a todos en esta comunidad. Gracias a todos los que fueron a votar por pasar las medidas para ayudar con un poco más de dinero, aunque nunca es suficiente, ¿verdad? Y nada más que todo, ya que se están acercando los días más cortos, ojalá que todos estén seguros por la oscuridad y sanos también por el cambio de clima. Es todo lo que tengo que decir. I just want to say thank you everybody for being here. I want to also echo and say thank you for all the voters who passed the parcel and the bond. Definitely every penny counts, even though it's never enough. And I just want to continue to advocate for families to continue to be involved and informed. And if language is an issue, we're here to support you. We're here to help you. It's very important for people to be informed because everything that happens in this community, one way or another, affects us all. And just hopefully you're safe now that it's getting darker sooner. And you're also healthy because it's, the cold and people tend to get sick. So I just hope everybody's safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to student board member reports. Jamie for Half Moon Bay High School.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, sorry about that. From El Granada Elementary School, El Granada has had its own pumpkin patch in October thanks to the generous donations from Farmer John's Pumpkins and the PTO. Our Halloween parade was also a hit. We held our fun run on Friday of last week with a super fun obstacle course. Finally, we honored Ruby Bridgers and the civil rights movement with Ruby Bridgers Walk to School Day today. At Fairlawn View Elementary, Fairlawn View's PTO hosted its first ever fall festival last month. Students and families enjoyed delicious food and laughed their way through all of the inflatables, earned prizes through carnival games, dunked their science teacher, and a few Fairlawn View students, and so much more. Looking forward to hosting this fun-filled event again next fall. And from Kings Mountain Elementary, our hip-hop performance last week was amazing. Families and students loved it, and we are looking forward to a Ruby Bridgers assembly, and Stone Soup will be happening on Friday, November 22nd. And lunch will be provided by the students in collaboration with Chef Sean. Families are invited to attend and enjoy this beloved school tradition. The school performance will be at 11:30, and Stone Soup will be served at 11:45. Finally, from Cunha Intermediate School, it has been a productive month here at Cunha. Fall sports ended and winter 7th and 8th grade basketball began. Parent-teacher conferences were a big success. Our AG Science and STEM students went on a field trip to Skyline College to learn about sustainable careers. Challenge Day will occur on Monday, November 18th for selected 7th and 8th graders. And then, do I go into my slides? Okay, great. So now I'm going to just kind of go over some events that have been happening at the high school this past month. So first and most importantly, our football team kept the school at home, defeating our biggest rivals, Terra Nova, 16-8 last Friday. And our football team has advanced to playoffs, and their first playoff game will be tomorrow at Palo Alto High School. Go Cougars. And homecoming week was a blast, as students were able to take part in many Half Moon Bay High School traditions. The theme of homecoming week this year was Once Upon a Time, which corresponded to our dress-up days for the week. Monday was Superhero versus Villains, Tuesday was Dress Up as Your Favorite Disney Character Day, Wednesday was Disney Duo Day, Thursday was Halloween, and Friday was Dress Up as Royalty Day. Next slide. On Tuesday, the classes raced against each other in the giant relay, which included, among other things, a cup stacking competition, a three-legged race, and tug of war. The seniors took the win, closely followed behind by the juniors. The homecoming assembly took place on Thursday, where the homecoming king and queen were announced. The classes showed off their dances and the class murals, and our amazing girls varsity volleyball team played a tough scrimmage against some of our teachers. Finally, on Friday, students dressed up for the homecoming dance held at San Mateo County Event Center. All of us students are definitely looking forward to Thanksgiving break and are beginning to prepare for finals, which are coming up quickly. Also, I would just like to kind of highlight the importance of teachers being willing to talk about current events in the classroom really quick. Especially following the last few weeks, I really appreciated my teachers who have been willing to answer questions and kind of facilitate those discussions in an impartial environment. Thank you.
Martin.
School report from Half Moon Bay High School. Half Moon Bay High School was recently visited by members of California School Board Association on the 24th of October to showcase agri-science program. Homecoming was last week. Fall athletics are ending and winter sports are beginning. Our football and cross teams are competing in the CCS competition. Our CTE programs have been taking field trips to learn about post-secondary opportunities, and last week we were traveled to Skyline College, where students attended 2 workshops about different types of certificate programs. Cougar Boosters Fan Festival was Saturday at San Benito House. We've posted the producer/director position for the spring musical. Please put the word out as we need applicants. And then for this report for Pilarcitos High School, we're beginning work on the first mural being painted on the MU, made possible by the Prop 28 funded partnership with artist Ellen Silva. We have now set up and implemented the Pilarcitos Agricultural Leadership Program at Elkis Ranch. Through this school year and our first visit, our students took a field trip to Natural Bridges State Park in Santa Cruz to survey monarch butterfly numbers as part of our Monarch Mystery Field Science program. And then for Los Listos preschool, November is a busy month for Los Listos. Vision screening was done today, and parent-teacher conferences will take place next week. Next Monday, November 18th, we will be having our annual community breakfast at the preschool from 8:30 to 10 with all the families. Oh, wait. Yep. Okay, move on. Natural Bridges. As a part of our Monarch Mystery class, we have been taking several field trips monthly to different bridges and parks to observe. Recently, we went to Natural Bridges to observe and document the local monarch butterfly population, and we plan to return sometime in December to gather more information about their overwintering behavior. In our most recent visit in early October, we got to see the local deer population right there, and it was fun. Then next slide, please. Native plant collaboration with Chiate, I think that's how it's pronounced. Pilarcitos students gathered Corkia, buckwheat, and gum plant seeds for Chiate Indigenous Land Trust. When the winter rain comes, they will be casting the seeds out on their ancestral site in Pacifica near Rockaway Beach. And there's a picture. pictures. Next slide, please. Yep. Elkis Ranch. We had a wonderful visit to Elkis Ranch. Students learned all about how a ranch is managed and firsthand experience with dealing with the animals. In the near future, we will begin to start a 12-week program with Elkis Ranch to better learn. And then there is Peanut Butter the cat, which was my favorite part of that. Finally, we had the Halloween party we had on Halloween Day. It's a lot of fun. Students had the opportunity to dress up and carve pumpkins, and then we had the mural right there that's being worked on in collaboration with Ellen Silva. And the concept of the mural is compassion. That's all.
Thank you, Martin. And our superintendent report.
Thank you, members of the board. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm having such a good time. I'm in 2 weeks. I've been to all the campuses. I've met with all the staffs except for one because they had a conflict. They were at the same time. But I'll get to that school as well. A warm welcome everywhere. I'm just delighted to be here. This is a special community, and it's obvious to me that that's the case. Student reports like that, you don't see those in most places. And to have that front and center at a board meeting, thank you very much for the descriptions and the visuals. I see it everywhere I go. The passage of a parcel tax and a bond measure with very little campaign, with the kind of passage rates, that's amazing. That is a sign that your community loves your schools, that there's a commitment to education, that it's a tight-knit community, and I've seen that everywhere I've been. So it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for entrusting me to be in this position, and I'll be here for a while. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, with someone coming back, that would be great too, but I'm really fortunate that I have the time that I can continue in the role. So thank you very much. And it is our intention to revisit the parking lot situation, and we will be doing that starting next week.
Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Rosie?
Okay, so we require roll call for our consent agenda. Kimberly?
Aye.
Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Mary Beth? Sophia?
Aye.
Jamie? Martin? Thank you. It passes 5+2.
That brings us to item 4A, El Granada Elementary School presentation.
I think this is already on. Is it on? Okay. Good evening, Dr. Harding, members of the board, district leaders, esteemed CUSD staff, students, and members of the community. I'm honored and excited to be able to share with you tonight a snapshot of El Granada Elementary School. As a teacher, I'm going to give you a comprehension check to think about before I begin. During the presentation, please think about the following items. 1, think of something that sparks a sense of joy in the El Granada community as you're listening. And 2, think about one area where we could come together to better support or increase our outcomes for the El Granada Elementary School community. I know our time is limited. You do not have to share these ideas at the end. Feel free to email me if you want to. Just something to focus on while you're listening. So there's our agenda. You see it in the agenda, so we're going to move forward. El Granada Elementary School is a diverse school community that fosters the academic and social development of students, each student. Our community pride, as you can see by the number of people here tonight, runs deep, and I am very proud to be a part of this school community. Thank you. We are a dolphin nation. Cupcake is our school mascot, and we swim with the dolphins, which means we are safe, we work hard, we are inclusive, and we make good choices. This is our PBIS mantra, and it guides our behavior principles. Last spring, we were awarded the Silver Implementation Award for our PBIS efforts. Our current school enrollment is 328 students. As the CA dashboard is still being released and updated, I have our CalPADS information from January of last year. You can see the breakdown for our student subgroups from last year. Our population has declined slightly. It is still a similar demographic. So the information on the next few slides is taken from DataQuest. I know later tonight there will be some preliminary information for our CASP data results. And because we're still waiting for that dashboard to be released in about a week or two, I'm going to share the preliminary information we have. First, we're going to take a look at our English language arts. You can see that we are 2.8% lower than the state average for students meeting or exceeding the standard. We have improved our performance from last year, where we were 9.4% below the state average. This means we have increased our number of students meeting or exceeding the standard by 6% this year. Our SIPSA goal was 4%, so we exceeded our goal. Of course, we still have work to do. 44.22% is not the number we want, but our grade level teams are working to implement our benchmark curriculum with fidelity. We are ensuring daily direct ELD instruction and improving our Tier 1 supports in the classroom. Our scores for math continue to remain quite close to the California average as they did last year. That said, across the state, there's work to do. Our number of students meeting or achieving above standard has increased by 3.19%, so we're seeing a slight increase for our students. We are working as a staff to implement strategies to support math fluency in the classroom, working to utilize our Bridges curriculum with fidelity, and supporting increased number sense for our students. Although we have positive momentum with our test scores, we know we have a lot of room to grow, and we're excited about that. We, as a staff, are committed to educating the whole child, and we're committed to working together to support our students' test scores and as a whole student as they grow. We are very excited by the continued growth of our emerging multilingual students. Last year, we had 20 students who earned reclassification status based on their LPAC scores, along with a number of students increasing in 1 or 2 levels of growth for their language acquisition. I do want to briefly touch on chronic absenteeism, as it is an area of growth for us at our school, as it is in the entire state, and one of the markers that we are working on. You can see that our chronic absenteeism rates have gone down, decreased from between 2022 and 2023. We're really working hard to increase family outreach, as well as messaging around the importance of consistent and regular school attendance. We have seen some improvement with our EL students and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. We are still working on increasing our subgroup of students with disabilities that is still in the red zone. Our site houses the 2 elementary special day classes for the district. Here you can see the breakdown of our special education population. El Granada is an inclusion school, and we strive to follow an inclusion model where all students are general education students first. Now I'd like to take some time to celebrate some of the really fabulous enrichment opportunities we have going on at El Granada. I'm not going to have time to go into detail for each one. You can see them on the next few slides, though. For this slide, we're talking about our STEM and STEAM enrichment opportunities. We have Miss Maker, Herpetology Heroes, our 5th grade science, and our Art and Science Week. We also have partnerships for our environmental education projects with the HEAL project and Coastside Land Trust. We also have some great art and VAPA related enrichment. This year we have a collaboration with ALAS to provide baile folklorico opportunities for students TK through 5th grade. Our staff has been given some really great feedback about our new CSMA partnership, and the kids are really enjoying those music classes. Again, we also have Art in Action and our Arts and Sciences Week. We are continually working to grow our after-school care opportunities. We have Dolphin Club, TK Club, and a partnership with CCP, who is housed on our site. Dolphin Club used to be for 4th and 5th grade students. Last year we added 3rd grade students, and this year we've added 2nd grade students, working to bridge that gap in creating after-school care opportunities for families. As you can tell, we have a lot to glow about at El Granada. And just reviewing a few highlights here. We're glowing about our increased test scores, our continued work with PBIS and restorative practices, our students who are becoming reclassified in their language acquisition, and our community partnerships that are bringing opportunities not just to El Granada, but to CUSD at large. So last year, Miss Maker, which is a hands-on STEM-related partnership, started at our site and is now grown to Hatch as well. And the same thing for Herpetology Heroes. So we're excited to be able to incubate those things. A grow that we have is we're continuing to build fidelity to our curriculum and to increase our Tier 1 strategies to improve student outcomes for all students at El Granada, and with a specific focus on our at-promise students. So, I'm trying to be time sensitive. I think I'm doing okay. I'd like to remind you of my comprehension check, just thinking about what is one thing that sparks that sense of joy in our community, and what is one area where you think that we could come together to better support and increase student outcomes. Again, you do not have to report out, but if it occurs to you and you want to email it to me, please do. I'd love to hear. And questions?
While you thanked everybody else, thank you, Erin, for leading this school and doing such a brilliant job presenting.
I don't have questions. I just want to say there's a lot of joy in this presentation. So thank you for sharing that. I think there's, to me, not now major obvious pieces that stick out as far as like areas. I forget how you phrased it. How did you phrase the second part? Like
Opportunities for, let me pull up my notes.
Yes. It probably would just be your grow. I guess I continue to build that fidelity around the curriculum and the Tier 1 strategies. But I really appreciate how you're, how all this work, especially, and some of the small details of how you describe things that you're doing. And I had the privilege of attending both your back to school night, where you did such a fantastic job explaining, as you said, engaging families on the importance of attendance and why it matters, and also your emerging multilingual celebration. And I really want to commend you for that too, because words do matter. And when kids feel like they have strengths rather than deficiencies, I think that makes a big difference in their confidence, and that feeds into the whole child piece that you talked about, that we've talked about as a board. That's a core tenet of our strategic plan. So I really appreciate your work around kind of the care for how you position things and how you celebrate the wins as well. So sorry, I only came up with glows other than the grows thing that you mentioned there, but thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And everyone you mentioned.
I had a question about the after school, the extended day stuff. So do you have waiting lists for the
Yes.
grades that you provide it for?
Yes.
And is it just low socioeconomic, or is it?
For our
the
Dolphin
place?
Club, they do have a formula. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we are providing support to a mix of families.
Okay. And so are you going to try to expand it?
Yeah, so it's always a question of capacity and personnel. So we expanded to 2nd grade this year, and I'm not entirely sure that the way the Dolphin Club funding works, I don't know about how it will work with spreading to 1st grade and kindergarten, but I can say Rosalva and I have been in talks about how we bridge that gap and find that middle ground.
And then can it be funded somewhat by offering it to more kids that aren't most socioeconomic?
Yeah, so the way that it works with Dolphin Club is there is a sliding scale. And then there's a different formula for our TK Club. And, because we are under construction, there is personnel and then there's space. So that is a factor to be considered as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Next, we have an update on the California Assessment of Student Performance in Progress, the CASP, data results for 23-24.
Good evening, Governing Board, colleagues, community. Every year, we are required by the California Department of Education to present the state academic achievement tests. In this case, we are presenting tonight CASP and LPAC scores. This is Regulation 6162.51. And here's the agenda. We really will focus on three major assessments. I mentioned the LPAC, the CASP, both ELA and mathematics, as well as the CAS, the California Science Test. We'll also share some of the actions and services that we will implement this year to continue to support our students academically. The next slide is an overview of our 4 strategic plan goals that you can read here. Later on, I'll come back to present, our team will come back to present further information and details on the approved strategic plan. The next slide, This next slide, last year I presented the key performance indicators. So for today, only using the CASP scores, we are looking at some of the celebrations and how on track we are on the goals. So the green here will show progress and progress towards the goals. The next slide, I want to focus on LPAC, but before I share the EL scores, I do want to give a shout out to our ELD teachers on special assignment, Brittany Hooker at El Granada and Yolanda Au at Cunha Intermediate. And all of our educators, because all of us have, all of our staff on the field working with our English learners, working on providing literacy goals, no matter the content area, have played an instrumental role in some of the achievements that I'm going to share right now. So this slide, although as a district, we did not show significant, we kind of just showed a slight decline of 0.5 point. If we look and analyze the LPAC, and keeping in mind LPAC is the English Language Proficiency Assessment for California, and I know that somebody had mentioned, actually Mary Beth, you had mentioned a little bit about the reclassification ceremony. In the LPAC, a child can achieve up to 4 levels, an English learner. So once a child is identified as an English learner, you take this test annually. And the state actually about 2-3 years ago requires all students to be reclassified to reach a level 4. But here on this slide, that although as a district we did not show much growth, we kind of stagnated, you see a significant growth in 5th and 6th and 7th grade. And so again, I just want to give a shout out to our educators that have really focused on literacy and language to support our students. And the next section will focus on our English language arts. On this slide, you can just see that we minimally increased, we basically plateaued, but minimally increased compared to spring 2023 versus the current year. This next slide will show you the data on how we performed in specific grade levels, 3rd, 7th, and 11th, keeping in mind that these are the grade levels that we decided as a team to use as our key performance indicators. We did see a decline in 3rd grade. We saw an increase in 7th and 11th grade. In 11th grade particularly, we had a significant increase of about 5% for ELA. Now, I do also want to mention that our teams and our site leaders, as mentioned by Ms. Erin O'Connor Brown, We also take this data at a site level and we'll disaggregate the data by subgroups of students as well as grade level teams. And as a team at the site, the teams will develop goals on how to continue to improve and support our students academically. Okay. Now we're going to move on to mathematics. And again, what we saw a minimal increase of not even, it's 0.05%. We basically stayed the same. And here, similar to ELA, slight increase in 6th and 11th. Now, on this slide of science, in science, also want to give a shout out to Joseph Santoni and Kurt Murray and all of our science teachers and all of our educators who also braid the sciences in different content areas. We had a significant increase in our science scores. If you see the science test results by our key performance indicators, 5th, 8th, and 12th grade, we also see significant increases. Keep in mind that next year we will be transitioning to administering the CAST, the science test in 11th grade. In 11th grade, we saw 26.14% students meeting or exceeding, and starting next year, we'll use 11th grade as a key performance indicator. And lastly, here are some of our actions and services that we will continue to use to support our academic gaps. We'll continue to target both integrated and designated ELD. We'll continue to increase interventions for English language learners, support our family engagement and target family engagement to let them know of what the end goal is for college and career, particularly around A through G courses and AP enrollment. And we also will continue to offer after-school services, summer school as well. And here are some next steps. I'm not going to read them all, but again, we'll continue to use improvement science to use a cycle of inquiry, plan, do, study, act cycles to look at where we need to focus on to improve our student achievement, particularly for the subgroups of students that have demonstrated a larger gap in academic performance, and they're listed here in the second bullet, are English learners, socioeconomically disadvantaged, students, special education, and Hispanic Latinx youth. Any questions?
I have a couple questions. Thank you, Leticia. And it's good to see that most of the data at this level is like pretty much flat or increasing in a good way, so that's good. One challenge I've always had with the CASP data is that it is just taking snapshots of specific grade groups year over year, and it's not a longitudinal comparison, which it would be a lot more meaningful in terms of knowing what actually is happening, because especially with the COVID pandemic and the aftermath of that, I think it's reasonable to assume there are some differences in the cohorts that we're looking at. So I'm curious if you've heard anything about the state moving towards more longitudinal data analysis in their platforms, and number two, are there ways that we can leverage our internal data system to do more longitudinal analyses?
Now, I'm not quite clear on the state. I haven't heard at least, but internally, it won't be difficult for us to support our sites in looking at that longitudinal data and compare the student growth year. LPAC does that actually. So we can, that would be something that we definitely can look at and present when we come back for our LCAP data.
Yeah, I think that's really important because that's more apples and apples and kind of apples and oranges in that regard. So I think that's really helpful. And also with the targeted family engagement on your slide about the actions and services on college and career readiness, you mentioned A to G courses, Algebra 1 and AP. I think it's also important to consider dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment, and even CTE as far as the career opportunities, as far as like the holistic array. We have quite actually really impressive variety of college and career opportunities for our students, and I think it's important to not kind of limit ourselves to the traditional markers of success, although A to G I think is super critically important and has opportunity for more focus, but I think including concurrent and dual college enrollment as well as CTE is good. And also, the sooner we can look at those data about A to G and graduation rates. I don't think we've looked at those even for like last year. And I know they're not awesome, but I think those need to be presented and discussed in public as well. And they're, I guess, on the dashboard available publicly, but I think they warrant discussions too.
Agreed, and all that, as they start rolling and opening the dashboard, actually just a few hours ago, I received the embargoed information, but it will be going public in the next like week and a half, week to two. I don't have the date right in front of me, but I did want to point out, Sophia, that for the college and career indicator, it will include all of those items that you mentioned, CTE. I don't know if it includes dual enrollment, but we can take a look at, we can bring back that data. And again, the data we're talking about so much, so possibly I can work with our high school and at least with Mr. Boyson, with the high schools, yes, to bring that data back during their site presentations. Because yes, that might be the best format, but we definitely, I know that the high school is constantly looking at those indicators locally. Right now, I'm just giving kind of the 50,000 foot view, but we definitely work with the site principals and they look at the data at the site to make sure they're monitoring
for sure,
student
especially between,
progress.
I think we should be cautious to refer to Half Moon Bay High School and Pilar Citos High School rather than the high school, I think, to be completely inclusive. And to be fair to your point, I think that they have different kind of ways of measuring success too. So I think kind of having that outcome, the graduation, the A to G, et cetera, like it's relevant in different ways to our two different high schools. So I think having that part of their school presentations actually makes a lot of sense since we only have two and they're very different schools. So that would be great.
Any other? I just want to add to your actions and services for supporting I'd like to just remind, I mean, I don't think I need to remind you, but I always have this thing where I want to make sure I just remind people that when you target the engagement, it's so important, and to have it early on, and let the families know from early on. For example, we really need to focus on the kids who've been here since kinder and are at high school level and are still ELD. And letting them, putting them as a priority and engaging the families. I think, I'm not a teacher, but I believe student success also has a lot to do with family engagement and family support, however it looks. Some parents are not as educated as others and are not familiar with the system, but definitely want to support their students and their children as much as possible. And I would also like to include to the your college prep kind of pathway, the SAT information for these families and the kids, and some sort of financial assistance for these families, so that's I think we could get creative and assist with that, because a lot of times these are little things that they're really important and they're missed. So just really early on engagement and targeting families, and even the ones who don't look, just because they're not, they don't look like they're in the path of college. I mean, just getting the information, not just assuming that, just because this kid is, getting these grades, they're the ones that should be targeted for this info. I think it's important because, like I said, a lot of the times, these kids are on their own when it comes to education. They have parents who've gone to school, second grade in their native country. So a lot of parents, they want to support their kids. And when you don't know what you don't know, it's just really hard. So I guess I'm just asking for meaningful engagement, not just basic translation of, basic information that you know, anyone could just get off the internet or something. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. This brings us to item 4C, Fiscal Stabilization Plan Update.
Members of the board, this is going to be a regular item, information item on every agenda until we complete the fiscal stabilization plan. I think you're all aware, Brett McFadden has reported to you already that we are working on this plan. It's mandated by the county office. We've taken some steps initially to a student enrollment count prediction for next year as a first step, trying to take a look at how many students we anticipate having next year so we know how many teachers. We're also taking a look at our, the report says, 3 areas that are really fundamental to our fiscal stability. The first one has to do with bringing more services in-house. Jen is doing a great job, learning a lot under the tutelage of Brett McFadden, who's been here regularly. He was here again today. We meet with him regularly. You'll note in your report the need for a position control system in HR. That's critical. And the third area has to do with budget development. So we're going to be working on these areas. It's really a 3-member team with Brett McFadden, Jen, and myself. And we will be reporting every month until we finalize the report. At this point, we're really focusing on first interim, and you'll see that at our next board meeting. And then once we complete that, we'll have a lot more information to include in the stabilization plan. Obviously, we're going to have to live within our means as we develop our budget, which will mean some serious budget reductions. So we're going to work on that process, and I will be reporting to you what that looks like and what the sequence will look like. In fact, I met with Brett today, and we've got a slide deck that we're going to be presenting to our management team sort of as a practice. Then the intention we have, share it with you, of course, and then to share it with individual school sites so that we have everyone sort of understanding how this process will continue and what it'll look like. So to be transparent at the same time, it's going to be, there's a lot of work to be done. We have a hole to fill. We don't know quite what that hole is yet, but we will know the next time we see you a month from now. And anything to add? Okay. So expect to see this as a regular item. Keep it in front of us.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
No, just a comment to thank you, because I know it's been tough. This is not a new issue. It's been chronic, and it became acute, a few months ago. And I appreciate with the leadership changes, it's you're coming on board, Jeff, with, kind of a new, fresh perspective, and also figuring out a lot of the history and all the background and a lot of the how things work and where things are. Same thing for Jennifer in the role, not that long relatively, although we're fortunate that we had you in the team previously, so you do know a lot of the background. So again, I think the more, to your point, Dr. Harding, when you say the more we can kind of start to clarify and outline and make clear the process, and the goal, as you said, like how much do we need to cut and by when, and how we're going to go about doing that. If we can have more, I know last month, Jennifer, you presented a little bit about that with the timeline, but having a little bit further detail will be good. So I appreciate you guys navigating the waters on that and trying to do the best that we can.
Thank you. That brings us to item 4D, MOU with Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Recreation for a feasibility study for 2-pool complex.
Good evening, board members. My name is Liesl Kolbeson Tanner. I'm here tonight representing Friends of Half Moon Bay Parks and Recreation, a local nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing and maintaining parks and recreation opportunities on the coast side. After years of community engagement and feedback, it has become clear that a main priority for our board and our broader community is access to safe aquatics on the coast. To achieve this goal, we are requesting that the school district support our efforts by working with us on the MOU that is in your board packet this evening and bringing it back before you for action at your December board meeting. This MOU is an essential step in providing us with the ability to launch our feasibility study to determine if the district's property at the high school can facilitate this recreational opportunity. With support from our community, we have been able to raise the funds for this feasibility study, so our MOU will not have a fiscal impact on the district. Our vision for our Coastside Aquatic Center is to build 2 new pools at the high school. The first for scholastic and extracurricular aquatics, replacing the existing high school pool. A second, smaller pool would be separated by a gate and prioritize community access for water fitness and recreation every day. While we have a few MOU edits to offer for your considerations, we look forward to working further with your staff to move this forward for action next month. Before I end my comments, I'd like to ask the members of the public who came to this meeting tonight in support of our new pool efforts to stand in support. Thank you for your service to our community. There are some beautiful pictures in the rear for you guys if you haven't seen them. That's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Liesl. We have a couple of public comments related to this. Marcia Yates.
Thank you. I'm really excited that we are looking to improve our swimming, our aquatic center. I'm a 5-day-a-week swimmer at the AM swim, and I open the pool every morning and I close it after the 2-hour swim. So I'm really glad to see that we're thinking about upgrading that. I just think that we should keep in mind the size of our community and not overbuild the pool because we know it will be expensive and hard to keep up. But I see that I swam with Rinconada for 35 years, and I used the Pacifica Oceana pool. I think a 12-lane pool is great, and I love to see that the fact we would like to keep it an outdoor pool, not an indoor pool, because it's so nice to be doing the backstroke and watching the sunrise. And we need, a community around it, and it's a healthy way to start our day. And I really think it's a community builder to get the kids in the pool and just have a great pool available. So thank you.
Thank you. Pete? Ooh. Pete Cernica?
Hello, I'm Pete Cernica. I'm a parent of 2 hatch kids. I just wanted to express my support for the feasibility study and what we could do to support that. Recently, running for this office, the number one thing that came up when I talked to people was the pool, which was disappointing because I would rather have talked about the school, but the pool is on people's minds and they're looking for opportunities to get their kids in the pool. So we should support this. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 26 write-in comments, and because this will get published with the minutes, that's correct, Rosie? I am going to read all of the names of all of the people who support the pool and wrote in favor of this, working this MOU. Andy Grant, Kate Fuvesi, Becky Lamage, Heather Prince, Mindy Sammons, Lisa Forward, Richard Holoton, Jennifer Birch, Leanna Dumas, Evelyn France, Melissa Majeski, Glenda Mahoney, Scott Bingham, Thor Bingham, Lucas Flossie, Meredith Schreiber, Ward Nelson, Steve Carmen, Leanne Kolsch, Emily Den Herder, and David Steinmiller, Ariel Mosley, Amy Risk, Nick Bruno, Kristen Kearns. So this is definitely very important on people's hearts, and all of these comments that were written in will be published in the minutes. So thank you for everybody that came out for this particular item. I open it now for board comments, questions.
I have a question. Well, first of all, thank you to everybody that worked so hard to bring this together. It's awesome that you raised the money to do this feasibility. I think that's really awesome. So my first question is, and maybe, I don't know, Lisa, maybe you have some insight, probably you're the best person of insight in this. Is there potential to have more funding for subsequent stages like design and development?
That will be their next step. The very
Okay.
first step, obviously, is a feasibility study
Yeah.
to get something shovel-ready.
Yeah.
That way you can apply for grants, then you look at other possibilities on how to fund it. It will definitely be something that involves multiple funding opportunities,
Yeah.
not just one thing, whether it's the city, the county, the school district, grants, personal donations. It's going to be everyone playing in the sandbox and getting along.
That's awesome.
It's a long time coming. It's been 25 years we've been trying to get a new pool here on the coast, and many of the people have been up there that it's breaking a lot and in well need of replacement.
Yeah, and to have like somebody or an organization that's willing to pull all that together and to do that work, because that's kind of different than usually what school districts do, and to not have to, we love Roger, but we don't want, the more we can have him focus on school, like direct school stuff, I think it would be great. And I'm also curious, you mentioned about scholastic use. Is there interest in potentially actually using the pool for like PE?
Absolutely. In fact, as far as I know, I do think that swimming is required in PE in the state of California. Someone can confirm that. So it is a requirement in the curriculum for PE. It definitely can be utilized far more, with drowning being the #1 cause of death in children under the age of 5. So it's certainly something that needs to be equitable to people here on the coast side, is accessibility to swim lessons.
Yeah, great.
So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was like, Lisa, that sounds familiar from Petite, right?
Yeah, I taught Gloria to swim.
Yes, you taught my daughter. I was like, she looks familiar. I also agree. I agree that it needs to be accessible, and it's a life-saving skill for sure, especially living in the coast, and and kids just, they gravitate towards water. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad to see you involved in this, because I know you you also helped a lot of the Latino community bring their children, and helped with us financially, because it is an expensive sport, if you want to call it. But I agree, it's very important. As my daughter just started as a freshman, and as of now they've gone on the pool twice, and it's so amazing. Like, it's just so much fun, and it's just sad to see that because of whatever, they're not having that access to the pool as much as they should. Now I'm so happy to see you, and I hope that we can work something out so that we could support each other to see this come true. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we were able to give free swim lessons in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club at La Petite Baleine last summer. It was the #1 request of some of the parents. I think the county had some leftover money, and they polled the parents, and they all asked for swim lessons as their #1 request.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Sophia, really quick, Friends of Half Moon Bay Park and Rec is fundamentally a fundraising nonprofit for benefiting parks and recs on the coast. Yeah.
Meaning there'll need to be some support, and maybe it's more from, not so much from the Friends, but maybe from Parks and Rec of the city, or maybe the county can help with like the recreational part of it, what you discussed, like the management, and which I think from the MOUs that we have from the city in the past, I would expect that would slot in pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
Can
Can I add something? I just want to echo what Lizette said, and it's so great to see you, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Hines, there's a quick question.
Sure, please.
You had mentioned there are some edits to the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
If you could contact me next week,
Absolutely.
and we'll get those included, and if
Okay.
it pleases the board, we'll bring this back on consent next month. Okay.
I do just want to say my dad was the very first swim coach here in the early 60s when that pool was built. And I'd love to continue that legacy here on the coast side with bringing aquatics through to the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to suggest a quick break. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. We'll
Thank
come
you.
back. 10 minutes. Next on the agenda is item 4E, approval of the interim superintendent contract.
Good evening, members of the board, and Dr. Harding, and Ms. Acosta. So this evening, as you're all aware, and as our board member spoke to earlier, our superintendent, Lee Alva, is an authorized leave of absence. And I just want to say that we are in very capable hands here with Dr. Harding. And we appreciate, I think I speak for all our staff members and all of our team members, that we appreciate that the board made the decision to bring on our interim superintendent, a very capable, very knowledgeable, seasoned leader, Dr. Jeff Harding. So thank you. Are there any questions? I would just like to let you all know I've heard from all the school leadership team how much they appreciate that Dr. Harding has visited their sites and met with their staff individually and with each of them. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to the board for also being diligent for us as a team and making sure that we had coverage during Superintendent Lee Alva's absence. So it really, serendipity that Dr. Harding was available when we went asking, but I think things have worked out really well. So thank you to my fellow board members.
Before we continue with comments, can I have a motion in a second?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Other comments, questions?
Just a question or slash comment. Maybe Dr. Harding, since you're most familiar with the ins and outs and the rules around interim superintendents and the limitations that you have because of STIRS and like all those kinds of things, like those rules, just so people know. Also, again, because the document as it states right now has an end date of December 20th, I think.
Exactly.
So can you
December
speak
20th.
a little bit to like, any flexibility around that potentially,
That's a very good question.
if needed?
So as a retiree, there's a limit. Anybody who is on a STIRS retirement is limited to how much they can earn in any given year. And that limit, if you exceed that limit, basically they deduct it dollar for dollar, the retirement benefit from the salary. So we adhere to that limit quite religiously. So, so there's a limit to how long I can work. I am not able to complete the full school year, but we've agreed to work on a week-to-week basis to get us through the 20th of December, and then sometime between now and then, if both parties agree to extend the contract, that's something we can do as well.
Great,
So
thank you.
there's such a big unknown given the circumstance.
Perfect, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Call the vote.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+1.
That brings us to item 4F, approval of Resolution 2024, designated authorized representative of Cabrillo Unified School District as signatories, effective November 14, 2024.
Okay, so this resolution is just adding Dr. Harding as a signatory, and it's just updating our current signers.
Just pro forma. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
So there are no more questions. Okay, this is.
I do, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know that you've have done a great job and you've gone to all the school sites and you made it a point to even meet with us as board members, and I appreciate that. But as a moment of the fact that you're being watched, is this loud enough, Mary Beth? As you're being watched, can you just speak on a little, like an elevator pitch to the community of, because just you introducing yourself and like your little elevator pitch on like your experiences and just kind of introducing yourself to the community?
I would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you could do it in Spanish, oh my God, kudos.
That's a definite weakness.
Okay.
You're going to have to do the translation. But so I was a school superintendent in various districts. Healdsburg, very much like this school district, K-12, preschool through adult ed, was there for 7 years, went down to, was a high school principal before that, assistant principal before that. I went down to Mountain View, Los Altos, to Silicon Valley and was a superintendent there. Officially retired. I do retirement quite poorly. I continue to get tapped on the shoulder for projects like this one, and I really enjoy it. So I spent a year up in Portland, Oregon, in a district that needed some help. I work with a charter school complex in Sonoma County that's run into some issues, some leadership issues. So I've done a number of interims like this, and I enjoy it. I enjoy coming into a new environment. Keeps me alive and excited, and I get to be around students, and this is just a wonderful environment. So that's what I'm doing. My dog is distressed by it because Dad is gone for several days a week, so he is really having a hard time. But my wife understands, and we know that it's...
Your wife is happy?
Well, I don't know. She doesn't actually say that to my face, but it gets me out of the house and keeps me out of trouble. So I enjoy it. It's a passion job for me. As I've told you, there's no ego in it for me. I'm not interested in this job long term. I'm here to do what I can do to help you through this difficult period until the next superintendent, whether it's Amber or someone else, enters that role, that the district is in better shape than when I got here. That's the objective.
Just, I had a chance to get to know you before all of this, so it was a pleasure to hear you, and I just feel for the community and for the people who don't know and are just hearing all these great things. I think just to put more information behind, the person that's sitting here, it's super helpful. So
Thank you. Thank you for asking the question. It's really great to
I was
be
like,
here.
should I do it? Should I not?
Yeah,
So thank
great.
you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we need to do the vote, sorry.
Yep.
Kimberly?
Aye.
Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Mary Beth? Sophia?
Aye.
Jamie? Passes 5+1.
That brings us to item 4G, Cabrillo Unified School District Bond Program Update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Roger Shahar with Banner Construction Management. I'm here to discuss the construction bond update. Going to be quick tonight. All the projects are on schedule and on budget, and I'm just going to share a few photos and get through them quickly so we can get to questions. Here's a snapshot of the program schedule and where we're at. There's a green line. If you look at the bottom, it says today. That's where we're at. Projects that are on track, I'll go through right now. We'll share the photos. First one is the Half Moon Bay High School sinkhole project. That project is due to complete on Friday, the 15th, tomorrow. Fortunately, we beat all the rain, so we're really happy with the progress. Had a very good contractor who met the schedule on this project. I'll just go through a few snapshots. The project was awarded notice on September 13th. They proceeded on the 20th of September, and obviously are completing on the 15th. They may have a few punch list items to wrap up the next week, but that's due to some rain that's come up that has slowed them down. But that's what it looked like when we started. Here's some progress photos of them excavating, putting the new piping and drainage in, and also backfilling. There's the new drainage, not the most attractive project, but it's very important to functionality at the high school. As you can see, we're really close to some homes, so dealing with this situation is very important to the district. So moving on to Farallon View. Farallon View, Building A was completed in August of 24. Now we've moved on to Building B and the MU modernization. That's in progress. And so we'll move on to the slides there. There's a view of Farallon today. Major improvement of what was there. This is Building A and the new parking lot in front. This is a photo of the shade structure that's going in between Building A and B. This is going to provide a place for the students to eat lunch with some shelter, and also have a joining area between the MU and the outside. So this will be a very productive space for student use. There's a little bit of there's some shots of Building B in progress with the utilities going in. Complete seismic retrofit in Building B, which is required by DSA, so that's underway. New utilities, this is what it looked, and this is what the this is a photo of what the shade structure will look like between the two buildings. It'll providing an outdoor area for learning, as well as eating lunch, and comfortable area for the students. Moving on to El Granada Phase 1, currently underway. We started in June. Just going right into the photos. Here's a photo of the site. The new classroom building is, the new classroom building is the V-shaped building, and that's currently underway. We poured foundations on Monday, and so they'll be starting to prepare for slab on grade pour. There's a photo of the parking lot to the left, and some of the new play structure to the right, and then the portables in the top right corner. Here's a photo of the site currently. Both walls have not gone in yet, obviously, but foundations have been poured. Here's before the pour, right before the rest of the rebar was going in. So there's a progress photo of the foundation work. Here is a photo of them prefabricating some walls. So they are actually trying to fast track this project and build all the walls separately. So they're building the walls and stacking them on site, and then protecting them with plastic from the elements. And then once the slab on grade is poured, they will erect the walls. We plan to see that sometime in mid-December. And that is the bond update. Any questions?
No questions, just a comment to thank you so much. I know sometimes people approach the board and have concerns when we hire consultants. It's almost like it's a dirty word, but I just want to say how amazing it's been to have you on board, the expertise that you have personally, but also that I know you have behind the scenes with a team that we could not possibly hire here as staff, and the support team that you have as well. And to be able to have kind of best practices around how you manage the work, how you present the work, I think is really helps us maximize our precious resources in our little school district here on the coast. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank you for it. And just keep it up.
Thank you. And there's certainly a team behind me as well that's supporting me, so thank you.
And I did have one question, actually, because I remembered when you mentioned Fairlawn View did not need the coastal development permit but El Granada did. Can you remind us, like, just from my general knowledge, like, what are the rules around when it's required or not?
Well, the architect went through a process and reached out to the county, and it just so happened that they were in an area of the county where they didn't have to have a coastal development permit.
Actually,
They didn't.
I'd like to correct the record on that. Our administrative staff from CUSD signed a CEQA saying that there was no environmental impact and requested a waiver from the coastal development permit process. It is in the scenic corridor. And so
It what?
Fairlawn View is in the scenic corridor that typically would go through county planning review process for coastal development permit. It is true, very much so, that if you're only remodeling a building, that it doesn't have to go through. But when you added to sign I'm a little concerned, a lot concerned, that our staff didn't look into all of the requirements and signed a document saying there was no environmental impact that influenced the decision for it to not go through the coastal development permit process. Because we didn't, now, if you could talk to what's happening with the lighting project at Fairlawn View, that could be informative.
I'll have to look up the note. There's a notice of exemption for the CDP, so I'll have to look that up, and I'd be
But it's
happy to
because
share it with you.
we requested that exemption.
Oh, well,
Okay, so it sounds complicated. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to
no,
prepare.
it's the first I've heard.
It's really
It'd be good to
good.
know before now that.
No,
this
but
was
that's the kind of thing
a
that
concern, 'cause
we need to know for future builds. Assuming that we were to do workforce housing, you want to work with the city. I mean, you want to know what the requirements are nominally so you can work with the community and understand the difference between the city requirements, the county, the scenic corridor, and what can trigger then
We should talk about it with the
appeals.
architect, because they're convinced before I got here that they went through the right process, so I think it'd be good to do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, this is not the place to have like that detailed
Yeah.
conversation. 'Cause
Well,
we're not
but this
experts,
is the type of complexity that the public should be aware of and understand how we get ourselves into binds.
Right.
So if you could talk a little bit to what's the, because the environmental impact at Fairlawn View, we signed a paper saying there's no environmental impact, but then we had really harsh, not dark sky lighting. So that would have been caught with Mid-Coast Community Council purview and oversight.
And we're adjusting those lights. We're
Right, but
adding
again, it's taking
shields.
extra work because we didn't collect the requirements in the first place.
So I would just want to acknowledge
Yes.
buildings,
Yes.
building things is complex, and I appreciate, again, that we have you here with your staff and your team, that once we raise concerns, we don't have the answers to it, because we're not the experts in this space, although many of us have researched things extensively.
Right.
So that's something that is y'all's job to figure out and do, and we can raise the concerns, and you can report back to us when it's appropriate. I also want to acknowledge, too, to my earlier comment, the fact that we have you here doing it. I know historically, previously, a lot of that legwork was our CBO's responsibility, and it took a lot of their time at the time. So I'm glad that we're in really good hands with you and Vanner, and Jennifer can be a CBO and not a facilities construction manager. That to me also means a lot in terms of being able to put things in place to allow Jennifer to do her job, essentially. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Okay. Yes, well, I can't change what happened before. I'm certainly here, and we're going through the right process with El Granada.
But thank you very much for Fairlawn View, working with the community, knowing that, the lights, they're in the scenic corridor, they're right next to a ranch that's been there for decades. And, the lights make a difference and impact both wildlife as well as livestock there. And so I think it's really important for us as a board, especially going forward with future projects, to consider context for all of the sites and pull those inputs together. So it's not just a matter of our construction manager, reporting out to us on the progress. That there's some mediation. We do appreciate that you've taken that extra effort now.
Just to be clear, in case I wasn't, that they're working on a solution, and the part that I didn't get a chance to clarify is there will be a test date that we'll announce and see what the outcome is with the latest version of the lights at Fairlawn. I think that answers all the questions. Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
But I'll be glad to I have the document for the NOE and be glad to share that with you and
Sure.
we can review it together.
Thanks.
Sure.
This brings us to the governance matters. Proposal to set annual organizational meetings on Monday, December 16, Tuesday, December 17. So it's either the 16th or the 17th. Do you want to?
So just a little bit of background, members of the board. You are required to approve the first interim before the 15th, and you can't seat new board members till after the 15th. So you have to have 2 board meetings. That's the reason there are 2 scheduled.
Okay.
So there's a choice. You could have it on the 16th, you can have it on the 17th. And we leave it to you to look at your schedules, your calendar, to see when you can get back together and seat 2 new board members. I think they're in the room, and perhaps they have a preference as well. Tuesday,
Mondays for
the
me.
16th.
I can't make it on a Tuesday. I'm currently actually taking time off right now to be here, and my days off are Sunday, Monday, so I can only do Monday.
So you can do Monday and you can do Tuesday. Given that he's...
Are you able to do Monday?
Okay. So given they're being sworn in, Lizette, you'd be okay to miss this one?
Sure.
And...
It's just, sure.
No, we're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I can't do another day unless, I work at night. I don't get off till after 9 o'clock.
We understand.
What do you mean 9:30?
And just, so I'm hearing Tuesday, Lizette, you can't make it, but because they're being sworn in, they have to be here.
Okay.
We would love to have you if you were available.
Another option will be to do it on a different date. It just has to be before the 28th.
The 18th is Wednesday,
Yeah, she can only do Monday.
and Pete teaches on Mondays.
Before the 28th is a Saturday, but before the 27th of December. The 27th of December. 27. Mm-hmm.
We have to do it before the 27th.
So there's a window. So this is a fairly straightforward board meeting. I'm expecting just the reorganization. Maybe Lizette, maybe we could talk ahead of time if there are any committees you'd like to be on. We can. Is that okay? Okay. Okay. Does that work for everybody? And we can make sure that you get represented if there's a committee you'd like to be on. And other than that, I don't expect any agenda items. There might be some board policies that I'll explain here in a little bit, but they won't be approved. They'll come 2 different meetings. So they'll be presented first reading and then second reading. So you won't miss any critical votes.
What time?
What time?
Regular time, 6:30.
That's correct. The 17th. at 6:30. And I anticipate it being short.
Okay, so now I need a motion and a second confirming the 17.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Sophia. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+1.
Creation of a board policy review subcommittee.
Very good. And members of the board, this is a practice that I've used for many years. CSBA, California School Boards Association, sends us updates for board policies as laws change, case law changes. They have a team of attorneys and they write these samples and they send them to us, usually 4, sometimes 5 times a year. What I like to do is have our staff review them. We have quite a few already in hand. But then before bringing them to the public, I like to have 2 board members sit down with me, review them. It's a good opportunity if you're kind of into policy stuff to get a firsthand view. Sometimes there's some decisions, which ones might want to be pulled for discussion, which ones might be just boilerplate, and some may be more sensitive. So kind of a first take before they come to the public. We do a first reading. Those 2 board members can say, we saw these, we think they're fine the way they're presented, and then bring them back a month later for approval. So that's kind of the procedure. So I need 2 people. It's a commitment of maybe 90 minutes, 4 times a year. Might be a little longer now because we've got some backlog. But, and I envision this being an ongoing subcommittee. So
I'm happy to do it.
Terrific. Anybody else like to volunteer?
I wouldn't mind doing it, but since, I don't know, I want to give Carmen the opportunity since as the baton gets passed.
I don't have to do it. If you 2 want to do it.
No, I think it's been, so Carmen, you're going to be taking the president role.
Yes.
So that's going to maybe take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So Lisette,
Yeah, that makes sense.
are you interested?
Sure,
That would be great.
as long as it's on a Monday.
We can meet, our subcommittee can meet
No,
on a
I
Monday.
am
Okay, and you can meet on a Monday? Monday is great for me too, so let's, I think we have a proposal for our subcommittee. I think somebody has to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to have a subcommittee with Lizette and Mary Beth.
I'll second.
No questions, no comments? All right, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. It passes 5+1.
Very good. So I will be contacting you once we have some deadlines, and we're moving a batch of policies to me after they've been reviewed by staff. So sometime the beginning of December, I would envision we would get together, and I hope to have the first batch come to the board in one of those 2 December meetings.
That brings us to item 5C, board discussion on governing board new business. Does anyone have suggestions on new business? I think we got a lot on our plates right now. I would say that when we did our last retreat in September, we talked about, I want to say we said a facilities study session. So we have tried to, instead of fully loading our regular meetings, it was proposed that to have more crosstalk on topics that are not decisional, but to understand what's going on and give the public a chance to hear more in-depth conversation. We had talked about facilities, but it seemed to have kind of dropped off, and I don't remember. So I just wanted to bring that up, float that. You know, I know we're doing the bond presentations, but that's not quite the same as a discussion of, now that we've got a new bond measure approved, I know that this week we'll be meeting with Brookwood and Associates with Dr. Harding next week just so to orient him to what the background had been, and there's some more orientation for the community that certainly needs to happen, but just wanted to kind of think out loud here if anybody had any comments or concerns.
No, I actually forgot and I meant to bring it up when Roger was presenting, because to just similar point around now with the bond being approved, I think doing kind of like a refresh of the facilities master plan for all the facilities, including what you just described, Kim, I think would be helpful. And even if it's like a high level plan of like 20 million for this, 20 million for that, there's some work that, there was work that was done after the last bond was passed. I think that was very helpful to set like a high level plan for the funding that we have, knowing that things come up and things change. And at this point, things 5 or 10 years out are like in 10 or $20 million increments with very generic lines like infrastructure repairs, like, stuff like that, that's fine. But to have some high level plan and the phasing for like what comes next, even if it's 2 years out, we start something new, or 1 year out, we start something new, whatever it is, I think would be very helpful. So.
Very good. I can tell you just today, we met with Dale Scott in person and began talking about, okay, what comes next? You will see some documents coming forward at some point. And I had a conversation with Mark Katroki as well today. So we're kind of having those conversations with people that are in the field. They kind of know what our next steps are. I don't have a recommendation at this point, but it sounds like the board would be interested if there was a need to have a study session, we could schedule one. Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks. And 5D, board discussion on governing board operations. We're going to be turning over in December, so would encourage the new board to plan for get to know each other retreat and start to understand general operations for the board to onboard our new board members.
And we're going to have to talk about what day we're going to have meetings, because it sounds like we've got some board member, I don't know how long your class goes for, but.
We'll talk offline.
Okay. So anyway, we might need to change the day.
Okay, we'll discuss that on the 17th.
And it's
Right,
not
on the
exactly-
17th, we can talk about that. And we will also have a calendar for you. Now, the calendar has the meeting still on Thursday. So we have the authority to change the day, and we don't have to make that decision today. We can make it on the 17th, and we can all look at our calendars.
And I just want to say, I know they didn't make it on the future events, things are not strictly CUSD activities, but there are two important training opportunity events coming up for all school board members, which are the CSBA annual conference in early December. So that's kind of like I don't want to say officially mandatory, but kind of an expectation that especially new board members attend. And there's be another similar event that's just a one-day Saturday event in January from the San Mateo County School Boards Association. So I think that's really important for all school board members to attend every year, especially for those that are newer. I know, Carmen, you went last time, so that was really great.
And the January one is specific for new board members, correct? Yeah, okay.
But everyone's welcome to attend because,
Okay, okay.
It's new, but if you've been on the board for like 2 years or even longer, sometimes it's helpful.
Thanks. Future events, November 19, Bond and Parcel Tax Oversight Committee meeting, in person and via Zoom at 6:30. November 21, on Thursday, Migrant Program PAC meeting at Cunha Intermediate School, portable P6 at 5:30. Thursday, November 21, Budget Advisory Committee meeting, in person and via Zoom at 6:30. Friday, November 22nd, Kings Mountain Stone Soup Celebration at 11:30. Monday, November 25 to Friday, November 29, Thanksgiving recess. Thursday, November 21, 2024, Migrant Program PAC meeting at Cunha Intermediate School, portable P6 at 5:30. And Thursday, December 12, regular board meeting, Cunha Intermediate School, 6:30 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5+2, +1.
Oh my God, 8:30.